So I'm making you guys a video. This is my waste audit that I also did. I did this on Friday, I guess. And you can see I edited it. I edited the slightly based on what trash was in my waste. So here are my raw numbers for glass, plastic, aluminum, recyclable paper, non-traditional recyclables, usable, reusable items, which in my case we threw out a comb, food waste, trash, non-recyclable plastics that didn't fit in another category. I'm gonna work in Google Sheets to help you analyze your data. I'm not as good at Google Sheets as I am Excel, so bear with me. Right off the bat, I want to talk about like formulas. So Excel is a way to manipulate data, so is Google Sheets. So the way that this works is, hopefully you can see everything I'm doing. So in this section that says totals, is I'm going to show you how to use a formula. A formula tells Excel or Google Sheets or whatever we're talking about how to utilize data. Now, right off the bat, one of the things you should see is if there's numbers on the right-hand side of a cell, that means that whatever spreadsheet you're using is looking at it as numbers. As opposed to if I did like one bottle, you see how this is shifted to the right? If I were to try to like manipulate data here, like, I don't know, do summation or average or whatever, it wouldn't do this because it only reads it as text. So keep in mind, you can only have numbers and they need to be shifted to the right. In terms of totals, I'm going to, you don't have to add this up. Yes, I know there's a small column and you probably could, but I'm going to make Excel or Google Sheets do the work for me. So I'm going to hit enter. When I hit enter, it immediately knows that I'm talking about a formula. So I know it suggested some, but you could type in whatever you're looking for, average, mean, count, all sorts of stuff. I'm going to click sum, and I'm going to select all of the cells that I want it to add up, and then it gives me a number. You guys see that? I'm gonna do that again just so you can see it. So equals tells Excel what we're doing. Sum is what I want it to do with the number with the cells I select. Select those cells and hit enter, and now it does that. If you ever forget what formula is in a cell, you can go up. Don't need to select it. You can go up to the formula bar right here, and it shows you what the formula is. So that can be useful if you forget what you entered. Besides counting the numbers of, like bottles of stuff or whatever that were in my garbage, I also weighed them, and I couldn't weigh individual things like recyclable paper was like 3 envelopes or pieces of mail I threw out. So I couldn't really do anything with that in terms of weight. So what I did was I broke it into 3 categories in terms of whether it's compostable, trash, or recycling. I want the same thing. I want to know the mass here again. I know it's suggesting. I'm going to type it in just because it's a good habit. And now I know the weight. So now I have, now I know that how much garbage I produce in terms of weight and also in terms of items. And I know this seems weird. You're like, wow, that's really heavy garbage for what it was. The food items were fairly heavy because a lot of them were wet. And also, hey, coronavirus. I threw out a bunch of plastic bottles from various, oh, there goes my cat, various cleaning supplies that were relatively heavy. So that's why this is probably weighs more than my typical day would, even though it was not high in numbers. It's time to start manipulating data. So I'm going to say this, and Mr. E is welcome to chime in and disagree. In science, in like regular research science, I'm going to preface with that, there's never a reason to make a pie chart. Pie charts are used sometimes to show percentages, and we we're talking about percentages here, so it may be of use to consider that, but there's no good reason to use a pie chart. Pie charts are hard to understand when you're looking at a piece. If one piece is really big and one piece is really small, that's really all you can get from it. When you have two that are relatively close to the same size, it may be a problem, and so on and so forth. So in terms of just manipulating your own data, it would be pretty easy to just, let's make a chart. So I'm going to go on and put this here, insert a chart. And of course it made it a pie chart because I just said those are terrible. But what you can see even here on this pie chart, it's nice. It converted it to like percentages, which is cool or whatever. But you can't really tell, like, are these almost the same size? Are these almost the same size? It's not really useful. So I'm going to use the drop down to change it to a column graph. And got it. When you, automatically you can see that this is a little easier to determine. I'm going to, would like to move this to a new area, but we'll worry about that in a second. And in here you can set up and customize whatever you need to. I'm going to go in here and go to series. We're going to come back to this. So we can label the X and Y axes. There we go. Add X axes. So we want along the labels. So we're going to go ahead and put that there and click OK. And now you can see what everything is. So I want you guys to go ahead and make your charts and add them to Excel. You can also drag them around. Thank you. We can drag this over here. Come here, chart. So it's out of the way so you can see stuff. So that's one way you can make a graph. And I know that it initially made it a pie chart. Please don't default to that. One of the things that I can tell you is as you begin to compare things, maybe you want to compare the amount of waste to other things. One of the things I'm going to tell you is that there's an EPA estimate. I'll send you guys the link. But here's the website from the EPA. It's estimated that Americans make 4.5 pounds of garbage per day. So I could put in here, and I could compare how much I made in each category compared to what the EPA says Americans make per person. What I want you guys to think about is different way you can analyze your data. I will be a little late to class this morning. I have to go to an online NOAA meeting. But I can help you make any graph you want once you start thinking about how you want to manipulate your data. And I can also send you guys a link so you can fill in all of this stuff if you happen to do things by weight. I can also help you make your graphs. One of the things that I will do is I will likely, if you have a school computer, ask you to download it and work in Excel. Excel's just much easier for me to work in. If you want to work in Google Sheets, you're a little bit limited to figuring things out to some degree on your own, though I can help you to some extent. Please remember you will end up needing approximately 3 graphs, different ways to interpret your data. I'm also going to send you guys all a sheet where you can enter your own data as well as look at everybody else's, because it might be interesting to get class averages and things of that nature. If you guys decide to compare yours to what the class got to what the EPA says we get, I can show you how to do error bars and things of that nature. Right now, this is where I'm going to stop, though, and let you take a stab at this.